Welcome, students. This is a lesson on how to solve a quadratic by factoring. Solving means that we're going to find the roots, x-intercepts, or zeros. All of these words mean the same thing when it comes to quadratics. We're going to find out if we had x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0, what numbers could you plug into x? It had to be the same number, where you would get 0 on the end. These would be called the solutions. When we look at it from a graphing standpoint, a quadratic is going to curve like this and come back up. So a lot of times it's going to hit in two different places. These are your roots, zeros, and x-intercepts. These are the answers we're talking about finding today in class. Okay? This one hits twice. Some of them will only hit one time and go back up. And then we'll even encounter some that don't hit at all. So this hits 2 times and has 2 solutions. This hits once and has 1 solution. This hits none and is no solution or 0 solutions. Okay. One of the ways to find them is to solve by factoring. When we solve by factoring, you got to make sure you have all the terms on one side. And so typically we will make them all be on the left side. So we want it to look something like this: x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Okay? If it looks something like this, x squared plus 6x equals negative 8, then we have to draw our line down and we have to move this 8 over to the other side. And so we do that through the same way we move stuff all year. If it says minus 8, we plus 8 to both sides. Okay? And so that becomes x squared plus 6x plus 8. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0. Then we factor the quadratic completely. So once we do that, we're going to factor using the same process that we've been doing all year. What multiplies to be 8 and what adds to be 6. 2 and 4, that becomes x, that becomes x. And so this whole part right here is the factoring part. So we would do 1x squared, we split the term between 2x and 4x, we bring down the 8, we group and group, x comes out, and that becomes x plus 2. 4 comes out, and that becomes x plus 2. And so we get x plus 2 as a factor, and we get x plus 4 as a factor. Okay? Sometimes this will be done for you, sometimes it will not. Once you get them set, once you get them factored, then you set each term equal to 0. This is a term, and this is a term. So you'll do something like x plus 2 equals 0, and x plus 4 equals 0. Once you get those set equal to 0, you'll solve. So minus 2 to both sides, minus 4 to both sides. This becomes x equals negative 2. This becomes x equals negative 4. This quadratic that I did here crosses at negative 2 and negative 4. Okay, let's go on to see what the next ones look like. As we go down the sheet, I'm only going to do the odds. There's a message at the end of this that tells you about what you should do with the even problems, but for here I'm just going to focus on the odds. So number 1, step 1 was to get all terms on one side. So everything is on the left-hand side. So I'm done with step 1. Step 2 is factor completely. This is factored. I know it's factored because it has the parentheses. So step 2 is done. Step 3 is to set each one of these equal to 0. So x plus 1 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. And so this, once you get it set up, this is basically like 2 problems. Problem 1 and problem 2. Get rid of a plus 1 by doing minus 1 to both sides. Negative 1 is an answer. Switch to this one. Plus 3 to both sides. And 3 is an answer. So this one has 2 answers, 1 and 3. So it's a quadratic that hits at both 1 and 3, negative 1 and 3 on there. Okay, number 3. I look at this one, everything is on the left, so step 1 is done. Step 2 is it has to be factored. It has parentheses, so that lets me know that it has been factored. Step 4 is to set each term equal to 0. Here's a little term, and here's a bigger term. X equals 0, and then x plus 2 equals 0. This is already solved, so 0 is an answer. This is one step away, minus 2, and so x equals negative 2, so this has 0 and negative 2 as an answer. Alright. This one has not been factored, so we have to start by doing our x box factoring. 1 times 6 is 6. What multiplies to be 6 and adds to be 7? It's 1 and 6. So this becomes 1x and this becomes 6x. When we write it out, it becomes x squared plus 1x plus 6x plus 6 equals 0, and then we're going to group all of this. X goes in there and leaves us with x plus 1, plus 6 comes out of there, and that leaves us with x plus 1. So we set those x plus 1 in parentheses together, and then we do the outside stuff together. X plus 6 equals 0. Once we do our factoring, that's when we set each one of these equal to 0. So x plus 1 equals 0, and x plus 6 equals 0. Minus 1 minus 1, so x is negative 1. Minus 6 minus 6, x equals negative 6. Number 7. Number 7 fails the first question, which is get everything on the left-hand side, or everything on one side. So we got to get this negative 10 to go to the other side. So we do that by doing plus 10 to both sides, plus 10 to both sides. Okay. Over here, it can't be combined, so we just write it out. X squared minus 7x plus 10. Here, negative 10 and 10 is 0. Okay. Then we see, is this factored? It's not factored, so we do 1 times 10 is 10 on top, negative 7 on bottom. Our factors of 10 that are going to make negative 7 are 2 and 5, and to make negative, we have to put a negative on them. So this becomes x squared minus 2x when we split the term, and minus 5x plus 10, then we group, and x comes out, and x divides in there and leaves us with x divides in there and leaves us with minus 2. Here, a 5 comes out, but we got to make it negative because of that front symbol. That leaves us with an x and a minus 2. So x minus 2 is the first part. The leftover part is x minus 5. And now we set each one equal to 0. X minus 2 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. Plus 2 plus 2. X equals 2. Plus 5 plus 5. X equals 5. So 2 and 5 are answers for that one. Oops. Alright. Number 9, we may want to rewrite it. When we only have the two terms, we might want to rewrite it. It's missing the middle term, so that's 0x minus 36. Everything is on the left, so we're ready to start. 1 times negative 36 is negative 36 on top, with a 0 on the bottom. What multiplies to give you negative 36 but adds to be 0 is negative 6 and 6. Put the x's on those. So this will be x squared minus 6x plus 6x minus 36. Group. X comes out of that and leaves us with x minus 6. A positive 6 comes out of there and leaves us with x minus 6. Remember, these in the parentheses are always going to be the same. So I get x minus 6 is 1, and then on the outside is x plus 6. Set each one equal to 0. Add 6 to both sides. I get x equals 6. Subtract 6 from both sides, and I get x equals negative 6. Alright, last one. When we take a look at this one, you might see that it's missing a third term as well, but it's missing the end term. When it's missing the end term, it means that you can factor out a GCF. So we look at these and we say, what do 2 and 4 have in common? And that's a 2. And x squared and x have an x in common. So we'll pull that out to the front and divide each of these by 2x. 2 cancels out, and that leaves us with an x. Minus x is canceled, 2 goes into 4 2 times. So now this is already factored, and we're ready to set each one equal to 0. 2x equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0, and we're going to solve each one of those. When it's beside it, we divide it. So x equals 0 is an answer. Minus 2 gets a plus 2 on both sides, so positive 2 is an answer. Alright students, I will give you 100 bonus points if you complete the evens on this page too. So you'll get 2 check marks on the grade book, which will give you 200 points out of 100. So definitely worth it if you've missed any of the assignments leading up to the 6 weeks.